the Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board meeting. If you are here to offer public testimony on item 4.3, we will not be taking public testimony during the meeting tonight. We thank you for your interest in the HRA's budget and levy, and we appreciate the time you've taken to stay informed and to attend our meeting tonight. Please consider submitting your thoughts in writing so they can be formally included in the official public record and thoughtfully considered. Thank you. Board member Wooten, Commissioner Wooten is attending the meeting virtual, so we will be taking roll call votes tonight. Okay, first, next item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any edits or changes? No. Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Mua, second by Commissioner Hughim. All in favor? Got to do roll call.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hughim?
Aye.
Commissioner Doblinger?
Aye.
And via WebEx, Commissioner Wooden?
Aye.
And Chair Mueller?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right. Next, we have one consent item, and it's the board meeting minutes for the October 28th, 2025 meeting. Would anyone like to pull this out for discussion? Okay, hearing none, then let's have a vote to approve the minutes of the October 28th HRA board meeting.
So moved.
Oh, sorry. First, yeah, need a motion. I was waiting. Okay, moved by Commissioner Hughim, second by Commissioner Mua. Now we will do the roll call vote.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hughim?
Aye.
Commissioner Doblinger?
Aye.
Via WebEx, Commissioner Wooden?
Can I abstain?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Chair Mueller?
Aye. So motion passes 4-0 with one abstaining. All right, now we are moving on to organizational business. 4.1 HRA owned rental properties emergency maintenance contract. May we have the staff report?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Anna Salvador, Assistant HRA Administrator. Before you this evening is a request to authorize staff to enter into an emergency maintenance agreement with Tuck Technical LLC for HRA-owned rental properties. This agreement would be for a full year, and it would initiate January 1st of 2026 with an option to extend for an additional year. The total amount of the agreement is not to exceed $200,000. Tuck Technical was selected through a competitive request for proposal process, and they scored the highest overall in the evaluation of proposals when considering criteria including costs, qualifications, and proposed approach. Their application stood out due to their extensive experience specifically working with both rental properties, especially affordable housing providers, and their team brings a number of years of experience. The selection committee was especially impressed with Tuck's proposed onboarding process and approach to the work. And additionally, they have a well-established reporting framework that will help keep staff informed when emergencies occur. I will go ahead and return it back to the chair for any questions.
Any questions or comments?
I have one.
Commissioner Wooten?
How was the amount of the contract agreed? How was the amount of the contract? I think I'm about the $200,000 for the amount.
It's based on our budget for the year 2026 for both assisted rental and rental homes for emergency maintenance.
So that's the max that we're looking at.
Yep, that's correct.
And then the other question I had was, we had a temporary company that was in there for a while. Did they actually put in a bid?
I can't discuss who submitted the bids, unfortunately, because it is a closed bidding process. But we received a total of 4 bids through the RFP selection process.
Then the last thing I had a question about is, what is going to be the reporting process in relationship to the activities that are occurring with staff and a new contractor, and then that information to actually be shared with the board?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So in terms of emergent situations, we expect kind of in real time updates of when that happened, and then monthly reporting on kind of the actions that were taking place to remedy the emergent situations. That would come to the board as part of our annual update that we complete around the summertime of just maintenance updates for our properties.
Can I ask another question? I'm sorry. Is there any way possible we can get a quarterly update at least to keep track of what's occurring, given the challenge we had in the past relationship to, on top of this?
Yeah, thank you. That's definitely something that we can explore and incorporate into the timeline next year.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? None? Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the HRA-owned rental properties 2026-2070 emergency maintenance contract?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Doblinger.
Second.
Oh, second by Commissioner Wooten. All in favor? Oh, roll call.
Commissioner Moa,
Aye.
Commissioner Huhim,
Aye.
Commissioner Doblinger,
Aye.
via WebEx, Commissioner Woodham,
Aye.
Chair Mueller.
Aye. So motion passes 5-0. The next item, 4.2, is the Bloomington Affordable Home Ownership Program Pilot Selection of Developers. May we have the staff report?
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Mike Palermo, the other Assistant HRA Administrator. So here to talk about the Bloomington Affordable Homeownership Program. We're calling this the pilot, or different phases, different order of operations. But we've talked a lot about this, so we'll give a little background. But here we're talking about selecting developers. Next slide. Like I said, we've talked about this quite a bit, but as a reminder and for the benefit of the public, the Bloomington Affordable Home Ownership Program is a program that we are funding with a grant from Minnesota Housing, about $3.19 million that they've provided, and a few other sources that we're pulling together to help fund this to develop 27 owner-occupied homes. The goal is to complete this by March 2027, so tight timeline, but we believe is doable. And these homes would be affordable to those making 80% area median income. So as you recall, we've talked about working with Habitat on some lots. We have some additional lots, 4 lots that the HRA has acquired over the years with various sources that are vacant and ready to develop. So we released an RFP in October that closed on November 5th, and we are here today to talk about the result of that. Next slide. Let's see. So in that RFP, I mean, we had the obvious requirements of the grant in there, but I think we really focused in on some desirable qualifications to help differentiate those that submitted proposals. But really, we focused on their ability to deliver the project on time and on budget, knowing that we do have a tight timeline, and we do know that if we have to pursue other funding sources that are going to delay things. So are we able to make sure that these costs are accurate and be able to fill the gap, knowing that beyond just the Minnesota Housing Impact Fund, there might be other sources that local that we might have to provide, or other Met Council funds that we have. We also know that this is funded primarily through the impact fund, and then there are requirements with that. So visitability standards is a big one, where you design a home where it's not quite ADA accessible, but there are similar items that you have to do to make sure that the home is visitable. So kind of zero entry step into the house, handrail or knob, or blanking on it now, not knobs, but the door handles. So there's little things like that that make a home visitable. There are also standards for sustainability called the Enterprise Green Community Standards that the homes must meet. And then depending on how we issue the funds, there may be prevailing wage requirements. So after reviewing the applicants and after conducting some interviews, the selection committee has recommended moving forward with Magnolia Homes LLC and Outlaw Development LLC. Both are here today in the audience. And just a reminder, the houses that they would be developing. So 10117 First Avenue and 8935 Stevens Avenue South. They're both larger lots that would accommodate a two-family home based on our zoning standards. And we are proposing that Magnolia Home LLC develop those two lots. And then the remaining two lots are smaller, would accommodate a single-family home at 8313 Blaisdell and 1210 West 82nd Street. And those we're recommending Outlaw Development to develop those lots. So our next steps is to start entering into negotiations and draft up a development and purchase agreement with the two developers. And at a future public meeting, a public hearing will have to be held once we sell or convey the land. That is part of our requirements. But right now, we want to take those initial steps to select these developers, and then we will come back when it is time to sell the lots for them to start development. So with that, it's just a suggested motion to select these developers. Answer any
Questions, comments? Commissioner Mua?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Palermo, can you remind me what 80% AMI is in Bloomington?
80% area median income for a family of four. I believe it's about 115,000. I should know this right off the top of my head. I look at it every day, but it's about 115,000.
Okay, so that's not like super low income. That's basically two people working normal jobs.
Yep.
115. That's what we're looking at.
In all reality, I think where these lots are situated, it's probably pretty much what that income is for that neighborhood.
Okay. And then since the developers are here, I'd love to hear from them why they were interested in this project, their experiences, what they're looking forward to doing. I'd love to hear that from the developers.
So this is Alex Franks from Magnolia Homes.
Hello, how are you doing? Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, again, my name is Alex Frank. I'm the owner of Magnolia Homes. We create attainable missing middle housing solutions in the area. So up to this point, I've been partnering with Minneapolis, as we've been the Minneapolis Homes program, putting in twin homes and those kind of things. And I have other projects with triplexes experimenting with. I've also been part of the HOPE program in Golden Valley, have a project to bring affordable twin homes in that community as well. So I'm looking forward to, expanding the opportunity for missing middle in the metro area. So what attracted me to this RFP was obviously the part about attainable housing, but the other piece around training and skilling up emerging developers. That's the other component, and that's what I do with the city of Minneapolis. I coach and train emerging developers as part of the process as well. So I'm looking to continue that work in Bloomington.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dalton Outlaw, president of Outlaw Development. Excited to be here and excited for this opportunity. I have over 5 years of development experience and combined 15 years with my business partner here, Sean, and doing single family and small scale development in St. Paul. We actually recently finished up 2 projects with similar funding with the impact funds to create these owner occupant houses where we built 2 duplexes. And under 12 months and got them sold to families in the city. Now they're living in them, living on one side and renting out the other side to, really create some generational wealth and housing sustainability for themselves, as well as, affordability standards here in St. Paul, or there in St. Paul. I think that for us as affordable housing developers, we're always looking for opportunities to do more projects. And I think St. Paul has some constraints on some of the work that they're doing. So we're blessed to, come out here to Bloomington and use some of our skills and resources to come out here and help support you guys' initiatives in building affordable housing. So we're grateful for the opportunity and looking forward to working with you guys. The emerging developers thing is also as well a part of our rapport, was we're trying to continue to build and lift and climb and pull, to help others learn this development realm and create affordable housing all at the same time. So grateful for the opportunity and looking forward to working with the Bloomington team.
Thank you. Other questions? Any? Commissioner Bukim?
Thank you, Chair. Just kind of a quick question for staff. What does it look like going forward? Are we going to be continually kind of updated on the progress going forward, and kind of just what does that look like?
Yep. Chair, Commissioner Hugheim. Yeah, so we kind of have multiple phases moving at once. Like I had mentioned, we're getting close to finalizing, hopefully Monday, signatures for our purchase of our sale of the lots to Habitat with Humanity. We'll work quickly on these, and we'll be providing updates throughout. So this alone will get us to about 12 units. So with those 2 phases. So there'll be more to come on the future phases as we continue to build that out, as we work through some things with that. But periodically throughout, we'll be giving updates to give you progress to make sure that you're well informed, and as things move forward, we can kind of hopefully get some tours and kind of get to see the progress.
Thank you. Commissioner Mua?
Thank you, Chair. And can you remind us how we came upon the funding from the state? What do we have to do? How did we get the money from the program?
Yep. Chair, Commissioner Mua, we applied for the impact fund from the state. So it's Minnesota Housing, the state agency, has this impact fund that is targeted toward different programs or specific areas. So in 2023, we applied for the funds. And during that application process, we identified how many units we thought was feasible. That's how we came to 27 units. We had identified a handful of lots that we had control of, these 4 lots and the 4 that Habitat are working on, and a slew of others that we thought were feasible that we could continue to pursue and work towards. So this is kind of that work. We had staff transition after we were awarded that fund. That kind of slowed the process a little bit. But now that we're here at this point, we've kind of are taking that next step forward. But it is a competitive application process to the state, and so we follow the state guidelines on how to do that. But these funds then help fill the gap in the development, knowing that there is cost that is going to exceed the amount that the house will sell for.
No, I appreciate that feedback, and I appreciate the work that staff has done to go out to the state, frankly, to bring our money back, because we all pay state taxes, and we don't know where it goes. And so thank you, staff, for going out and making sure that Bloomington money comes back to Bloomington, because we know we're not the only community that needs missing middle housing. And so to have the money that we send to the state come back to us so that we can do this is really appreciated. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right. Well, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve a resolution authorizing staff to enter into negotiations with selected developers of the Bloomington Affordable Home Ownership Program?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hugheim.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Doblinger. May we have the roll call vote?
Commissioner Moa,
Aye.
Commissioner Huhim,
Aye.
Commissioner Dopplinger,
Aye.
via WebEx, Commissioner Wooden,
Aye.
Chair Mueller,
Aye. So motion passes 5-0. Our next item, 4.3, is the 2026 budget and final levy discussion. And I just want to state this comment. If you're here to offer public testimony, we will not be taking it during the meeting tonight. However, we really thank you for your interest in the HRA's budget and levy. We appreciate the time you've taken to stay informed and to attend our meeting. Please consider submitting your thoughts in writing so they can be formally included in the official public record and thoughtfully considered. Thank you. So the 2026 budget and final levy discussion. May we have the staff report?
Yes, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Sarah, HRA Administrator. I will just give it a second for our slides to come up here. There we go. All right. Okay, so some background. I know this is not the first time this discussion has been before you all tonight. So currently where we are, we approved the preliminary levy of $3,298,465, which was the maximum amount at the meeting, the HRA meeting on August 26th. And had additional discussion in October. A key question for discussion for the HRA was the federal budget impacts and some potential cuts to a lot of the housing programs that make up the majority of the HRA budget and how those would impact our HRA programs and how we can continue to sustain those in the face of potential changes in funding. So that's been kind of one of the major themes of the discussion to date. The goal for tonight is to approve a final budget and levy for 2026, which will then go to the City Council for final approval. And this is just a quick reminder of the mission and values of the HRA, creating a stable and inclusive community through safe and dignified housing choices. And then we have a series of, we have quite a few different programs and projects that fit into these major categories, all to promote housing stability, pathways to homeownership, really provide housing services across the housing spectrum from homelessness all the way to stably housed. And here is the budget request that we've discussed a few times. You can see here, this is a breakdown of some of the major budget categories, so a very much summarized version of the budget. You can see the actual in 2024 and 2025, as well as the budget for 2025, as well as the 2026 proposed budget. Again, you can see some increases in all categories. This also shows you this intergovernmental category as well as other revenues, so you can see how the HRA levy is about a little less than a third of the total HRA budget. A pretty significant portion of it is federal dollars. And then there are other revenues, rental income, grants, things like that. And then in the expenditures, of course, salaries and benefits, and then materials, supplies, and services, a good portion of this goes to provide the programming that we do offer, including the rent checks that are funded through the HUD program are included in this bucket. All right, so it's quick, again, very high-level summary of where we are currently. The total expenditures for 2026 is anticipated to be $11.7 million. Again, only $3.2 million of that is levy. The rest of that is primarily federal funding. So here's the breakdown. You can see about $7.5 million is granted annually through these two programs, Housing Choice Vouchers, commonly known as Section 8, and our Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds. And then there's some other income as well. So the total budgeted increase for 2026 is around 13.6%. That does include income and spending. So like we've increased our rent fees on HRA-owned properties and other things in order to continue to fund HRA programs. And then we've gone over this previously as well, but some information on cost efficiencies and reductions. So because of the HRA's position within the city, there are a lot of efficiencies in that we are working with a larger city network and things like sharing finance resources and other outreach services and other things are shared with the city. Also, as you can see from the amount of dollars that are leveraged from other sources or that are not HRA levy dollars, we do a great job, I will say, at leveraging other funds. So that includes state money like local affordable housing aid. That budget also does not include a new $2.6 million award for a state-funded voucher program. So you can see we're continuously looking and searching for other grants to support the HRA levy. We've been evaluating our property management structures, and last year brought property management in-house. I will say this is a much better service for about the same cost, so that's an efficiency gained there. Also just making sure that we are streamlining contracts, and always, as you saw today, we have had a couple RFPs to competitively bid costs for services and make sure that we're getting the best price for our dollar. And then some other things like being very thoughtful and careful around repairs to HRA-owned properties, doing some long-term planning on those, and pausing programming when we were maxed out in terms of funding. So our rehab loans are in very high demand and have a very long wait list. And so, but because of the demand, we actually were at our budget last year, and a lot of this funding is from HUD. But so we paused the programs during that time and are now going through the wait list and granting funds again, or loaning funds. And then we also completed the priority-based budgeting this year. So these are a couple highlights of some of the efficiencies in place that were brought out through that process. So again, high recommendation to actively seek federal, state, and regional grants, which we are very active in. Also cross-training staff. And we've also been implementing this year and making sure that staff across the organization, no matter what their specialty, are able to answer questions and provide at least basic services for our housing choice voucher participants, as that is a pretty significant portion of the staff time. And then centralizing services. So again, because we're aligned with the city processes and departments, there's a lot of efficiencies there. Okay, and then as I mentioned, federal funding has been a huge topic of discussion and concern for the HRA. So again, our two largest sources of funding are these two programs. Currently, following the shutdown, the legislative branch passed a continuing resolution, which basically means that they took the funding levels from 2025 and they extended them at the same level through January 30th, 2026. So come January 30th, there will need to be action from the federal government again to prevent another shutdown. I'll note here also, I think important to the conversation, so while we've got here the current proposals, you can see fairly similar to previous levels, a little bit of a reduction in a couple of those major areas. One thing that we're also seeing are some changes to adjacent programs. So for example, this continuums of care issue, the county receives, I think it's around maybe $15 or $20 million for these continuums of care. And because they primarily fund permanent housing with these dollars, the most recent, they apply for these dollars every year. It's kind of a mix between entitled and applied. And so there were some recent changes to want to fund more transitional housing. And unfortunately, because of when the funding request was issued, the county is not able to adjust quickly their standing programming. So I think you might have seen this in the news a little bit. We don't receive any direct funding, but we do expect Blooming residents to be impacted. We're currently connecting with the county on what we can do in order to provide services. The county has said that around, I think it's 1,000 or a little over 1,000 people do rely on these dollars for housing, including rental support. So trying to consider if there are ways where the HRA can support keeping some of these folks with disabilities stably housed is one space, I think, where the federal funding conversation comes up. So this is still very preliminary, but it is something I know that the HRA cares very deeply about, rental assistance and keeping people housed. And then here's the levy illustration. So you can see before 2023, we were levying to the maximum amount. In 2023 and 2024, because of the split or the addition of the Port Authority levy, the HRA greatly reduced its levy for those few years. And so this proposal, if we were to maximize the levy again, it would be restoring that previous level. And then here are a couple highlighted reasons for the proposed increase. We mentioned property maintenance. Since over the last few years, since COVID, construction and costs of maintenance have greatly and dramatically increased. We also had some deferred maintenance as a result of not being able to enter homes, or decrease in rental payments. And so we see a long-term need to increase our investments in property maintenance in the HRA-owned properties. Also, affordable housing investments. So we have invested, and I know the HRA has gotten a lot of updates on our opportunity housing ordinance. And so that was a pretty significant investment, which has resulted in a lot of multifamily housing with different levels of affordability. And the funding that we invested is now expended. So this would go towards some debt service that we use to provide funding for those programs, and also could go to additional projects. Strategic partnerships. This is one area where we have a number of contracts annually with service providers that provide various necessary services. So things like housing, navigation, things like that, and we do see a need to increase some of those dollars available. The last bullet here is some of the development fund balance, and this gets back to some of the long-term investments that the HRA wants to make in promoting affordable housing opportunities in the city. And then I won't be too much longer. I know I've talked a lot. There's a couple of slides, just visuals of some of the information. So here's our revenue summary. Again, this really shows how much of this is federal grants versus property taxes versus other forms of revenue. And then here's the total budget, so how it's split into different categories. Once again, the voucher program is dominating, and then small sections are contributed to each of the other funds that we have to fund these various programs. And this is how the levy, or approximately how the levy is split among the different funds of the HRA. So you can just see, from this you can see how the HRA levy dollars go to support various different levels of programming. Okay, and as I mentioned at the beginning, the council will vote to approve a levy for the council approval is, I believe, December 15th. The HRA levy is anticipated to go to the council on December 8th, and there is a public hearing that day, the Truth in Taxation public hearing, and then the budget must be submitted to the county. So those are the two next steps. And with that, I bring you to the recommended action. We have had some discussion around maximizing the levy versus offering another option that does decrease the levy slightly but remove some of those long-term investments. And so I've included both dollar amounts here for you for consideration tonight. This is the last action before it goes to the council for approval and acceptance. And with that, I end my presentation.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Commissioner Hughim.
Thank you, Chair. One thing I wanted to ask for clarification, I'm not sure when you were talking about what's been in the news lately, is that including the state going after the federal administration right now due to the cuts, the HUD cuts to permanent homeless housing? Is that part of that? I just want to be clear.
Yes, yeah, I believe so. If we're thinking of the same thing, I have seen an article in NPR about the governor talking about this and if impacting around 5,000 Minnesotans statewide. So I believe that is connected, yes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mua.
Well, I'm going to be a squeaky wheel, as I have in all conversation, advocating for the lower levy. The council has asked the rest of the city to reduce, and so I'm asking the HRA to reduce. We understand that there have been challenges with the federal government and uncertainty with the federal government, but the one thing I know for sure is that people are struggling today, right now. And we have done a really great job, not to dismiss the work that we've been doing and going out and finding other dollars to bring our dollars back to Bloomington. But I think in the moment that we're at with the work that we have, I believe the lower budget allows us to continue to do the work that we have said we're going to do while maintaining the affordability within Bloomington. And so that's my advocacy, and that's what I've been saying this whole time to the HRA. And so, again, I respect what the board has to say, but I'd be pushing for the lower levy.
On the 8th.
Okay. We can't take public testimony right now because this was not on the agenda to have a public hearing, so what? You can come on December 8th and discuss that. We can't take comments right now. No public testimony, because this was not advertised as having public testimony, so therefore it is not fair to other citizens of Bloomington who may wanted to have attended this, so we cannot have public testimony. You can come on December 8th. We don't mean to shut anyone down, but in true fairness for the rest of the citizens of the city of Bloomington, this was not advertised as a public hearing, so we cannot take public testimony right now. So what I would like to do is to move on. Commissioner Hulkeem.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, I want to be clear that the HRA has, for the past couple of years, been pretty much at the lowest levy. I just want that clear on record, that we have lowered our levy for the past few years. So I just want it known that we have been making sacrifices, and we understand where the council is coming from and where residents are coming from. We are residents as well in the city, and it's our tax dollars as well. I want to commend staff because we have leveraged a lot of external resources, and I would like to challenge other city bodies to do the same as well during this time, as much as they can. I feel our staff has gone above and beyond to get resources and funding outside of public tax dollars and city tax dollars, which has allowed us to do the programming that we do. I want to state that I'm not against going and compromising on the levy, but I also want to be clear on my voice of the fact that I want to make sure that we're also preparing for the future of Bloomington and not today. I will also be the squeaky wheel that says that we didn't all get in this position in the city from just 5 years. This has been many years where taxes have had to be raised because public buildings and public infrastructure were not taken as a priority years ago. And so now we're in a position of everybody's trying to fix what could have been prepared for years ago. So I want to make sure that we're also planning for the future so that next generations aren't in the positions that we are currently in. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hulkeem. Commissioner Wooten, you would like to comment?
I'm not a squeaky wheel. I've been a proponent of not having our levy raised since the first time we did discussion. And I guess in short, I'm going to be voting levy raised.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, let's move to a motion to approve. Can you put the screen back up so I have the language? Or do you have it? Okay, so I'm asking for a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the final levy of a special benefit tax levy pursuant to Minnesota statute section 469.003 subdivision 6 and approval of a budget for fiscal year 2026. Commissioner Hulkeem?
I apologize, Chair. I just want to make sure, I guess, before we do this, we discuss which levy amount we want to approve. I just want to be clear.
I appreciate. I did.
Can we have back on the screen the two
Yeah,
options,
what the
please? I
motion
apologize. It just, we do have two options, and I want to make sure that we're having that discussion and
appreciate
we're
your
all.
clarification.
Yep. Thank you, sorry.
Okay.
So Chair and Commissioners, the resolution includes the higher levy. So if you want to approve that levy, you just need to approve the resolution as written. If you want to approve a different amount, then you would need to specify that in the motion.
Okay.
Make a motion?
Okay, so this motion is to authorize the levy of the current recommendation and preliminary levy amount of $3.2 million. So may I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Doblinger.
I would like to move the alternative option, so. We don't have a second.
I think, yeah, Chair and Commissioners, I think you have to vote on the motion first. Yes. No.
Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm Rachel Tierney. If you have a motion on the table, it either fails for a lack of a second, or if you get a second, then you need to vote and the motion need to fail before it's appropriate to start a new motion.
Okay, so we have no second. So now I am proposing a new motion to authorize the alternative option levy of $2.7 million.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wooten,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hughiem. And we need a roll call.
Hello again. Sorry to interrupt. We need to make sure the record's really clear that the motion that you're making is for a levy of $2,769,133. You would also, the resolution before you approves not only the levy amount, but it approves the budget, the total annual budget. So I don't know if anyone's done that math. I think it would be okay to say that you would like to have a corresponding reduction in the overall annual budget, just so we cover both of those bases in one motion.
So moved.
Okay, I would like to reread the motion so we are very clear on this. So I'm asking for a motion to approve to authorize a levy of a special benefit levy, and that we go with the alternative option of $2,769,133, and that would correlate to the corresponding budget reduction of said
So
amount.
moved.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Wooten,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hughiem. And now we can proceed to the roll call vote.
Commissioner Moa? Commissioner Hughiem?
Aye.
Commissioner Doblinger?
Aye.
Via WebEx, Commissioner Wooden?
Aye.
Chair Mueller?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. The last item of discussion is the HRA Administrator Updates. May we have the report?
Yes, I'm just pulling up my notes here. Okay, we have, well, you've been introduced to Rachel Tierney. Rachel is from Kennedy and Graven. She is our general counsel that was selected through the RFP process, and that contract was approved at the last meeting. So welcome. Thank you for jumping in. And we'll also welcome Jeff Botts, who is our new HRA accountant over there. So he started earlier this month, and he is replacing the former HRA accountant who departed in August. So 2 new introductions. And then I did want to also note during the discussion on the selection of the emergency maintenance provider, the name is public. So I just wanted to, Commissioner Wooten, to your question, I can confirm that that our current provider did submit an application. And then moving on to other adjustments. So a couple notes about what's coming up to the City Council that are related to the HRA. On December 8th, there are a number of things on consent and a public hearing. The public hearing is related to CDBG or CDBG COVID dollars, which are federal dollars that were given to us during COVID. And so we had included in our annual action plan for this year that we would be spending this on some improvements to the HRA-owned properties. And HUD asked us to make the change to the plan that was approved in 2020. So we had to go back and do an amendment to that change. So there is a public hearing at the City Council, so you'll see that, but it is for an item that was already discussed at the HRA. And then we also have a couple annual contracts going to the City Council on that day. We have our staff services contract, our CDBG mutual agreement, and then the levy amount that you just said, the final levy, will also be going to the City Council on that date. And then another note, I know we've had a couple of items and discussions around the St. Mark's property acquisition and redevelopment. We have hit an issue with the cell tower in that they are disputing the site plan that we sent them. So we're still trying to work with them and still believe that we can come to a solution. However, we did extend the contingency date through the end of the year, and it is a little bit of a wrench in our plans. So we're still working through that. I just wanted to let the board know. And then the last thing I have here is just to note that the next meeting on December 9th is the last meeting of the year. It may be a little bit of a longer agenda, so I just wanted to prepare you all for that. And that is all I have for you tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Wooten, you have a comment?
I wanted to ask the status of a project, the HOA parking structure project. Do we have any time where we are with that?
Yes, Chair and Commissioners, we were actually out there today giving them notices for parking in case of snow. And then as far as the construction goes, I believe that their building permit was approved just this week. So we should be seeing construction start on that project pretty soon. I believe the first step is the demolition of the structure, and then construction of the new structure will be more towards the spring. So you might see just the demolition and then no activity over the winter, but that is a positive step. So,
thanks.
Thank you. All right, we have reached the end of our agenda. Oh, Commissioner Huking, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. I know that we have a new city manager. Is there any way that we could get an introduction maybe at our next meeting or something? That it would just be nice to meet and get a form of actual introduction.
Yes, Chair and Commissioners, I know that that is on his onboarding list. I'm not sure if it's the next meeting, but I can follow up on that, and we'll have an introduction in the near future here.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, now we have reached the end of our agenda. So may I have a motion to adjourn the Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 HRA board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hughim and second by Commissioner Mua. May we have the roll call vote?
Commissioner Moa,
Aye.
Commissioner Huhim,
Aye.
Commissioner Doblinger,
Aye.
via WebEx, Commissioner Wooden,
Aye.
Chair Mueller.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.